And now it's my absolute pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker. She is a proud graduate of the Common Law section. She is a member of the Common Law Honor Society, and she is the leader of the Green Party of Canada. Now let me tell you a little bit more about this incredibly distinguished alumni of our law school, Annamie Paul. Annamie is the daughter of immigrants from the Caribbean. She grew up in Toronto and she speaks 4 languages: English, French, Catalan, and Spanish. She graduated from the Common Law section in 1995. And one of her former professors describes her as a force of nature at the law school. This is what he said to me yesterday when I told him that I would have the honor of introducing her today. Quote, "I remember the first time I saw her at a faculty council meeting. Forthright, courageous, spoke her mind, wanted to get things done, and never, ever afraid of ruffling feathers." After law school, Annamie went to Princeton University and obtained a master's in public affairs. She spent large part of her professional life working in international affairs. She worked as a director for a leading conflict prevention NGO in Brussels and as an advisor to the International Criminal Court in The Hague. She also worked as a political officer in Canada's mission to the European Union. She co-founded and co-directed Hub in Barcelona, an innovation hub for international NGOs working on global challenges. She served on the board and advised a number of international NGOs, including the Climate Infrastructure Partnership, Higher Education Alliance for Refugees, and the Institute for Integrated Transitions. She's received numerous awards and fellowships. She was selected as an inaugural Action Canada Fellow, an Echoing Green Fellow, and as a member of the Recruitment of Policy Leaders Program. She's the recipient of a number of awards, including the Harry Jerome Award, and as a member of our university's very own Common Law Honor Society. She's been committed to promoting diversity in Canadian politics. After graduate school, she founded and directed the Canadian Centre for Political Leadership, a nonpartisan charity that trained women and underrepresented minorities to run for elected office. She volunteered with Operation Black Vote Canada and served on the steering committee for Equal Voice Canada, 2 nonpartisan organizations working to diversify our political representation. On October 3rd, 2020, Annamie was elected the leader of the Green Party of Canada. In so becoming, she became the first Black Canadian and the first Jewish woman to be elected leader of a federal political party in Canada. I spoke to you about the values of excellence and leadership and community that we are trying to foster here at the Common Law section. We would really be hard pressed to find someone who exemplifies these 3 values better than our keynote speaker, Annamie Paul. We are really privileged to have you with us today, Annamie. Welcome back to the Common Law section, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very, very much for having me, Dean. And it's always it always makes me blush hearing the CV, but it's great to be with you. And I'm looking forward to talking about the ways in which the University of Ottawa contributed to some of the accomplishments that you've mentioned. First to say, I am so happy to be with you. I am here in Toronto on the traditional territories of the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat, which I say with a great deal of gratitude and the acknowledgement of all the work that remains before us to achieve true reconciliation and true recognition of Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. This is a pleasure for me, and I want to congratulate everyone who is here, the 160 people, Dean, that are here at 9 o'clock in the morning to hear from us. That is extraordinary. the dean said just before we came online that that we needed to be ambitious, and he was right. You know, being ambitious can indeed pay off, and it looks like it is. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. And then let me say, first and foremost, a tremendous congratulations to all of the prospective students that have joined us this morning on receiving your offer from the University of Ottawa and beginning your journey to the legal profession, hopefully at the University of Ottawa. I know that that is an extraordinary accomplishment as someone who has been where you are now. And even more so now, I know that everything that was competitive when I applied to law school, I guess over 20 years ago now, has become even more competitive, and that the receiving an offer from the University of Ottawa is the culmination of a long journey for many of you. It is a reflection of your determination. It is a reflection of your discipline. For many people, particularly given the profile of those that the University of Ottawa admits, I know that it also reflects overcoming many, many barriers as well. And so I celebrate with you, I congratulate you, and I know that there are many around you, undoubtedly, family and friends, and of course, the entire University of Ottawa Faculty of Law community that celebrate with you and congratulate you on this tremendous achievement. In my case, I was admitted to the University of Ottawa after having studied for 2 years prior at the University of Ottawa. Yes, I was precocious. Yes, I was in a hurry. And I entered the University of Ottawa Faculty of Law at 19. And it was a very, very exciting thing for me. And I should also emphasize, it was my first choice. I had two offers. I'd only applied to a few law schools. I had an offer from Osgoode, and I had an offer from the University of Ottawa. And I knew I wanted to go to the University of Ottawa. And I'm happy to share some of the reasons why. So, so yes, it is just a tremendous achievement. And I know you have a lot of questions going through your mind. I think it's wonderful that you're going to have an opportunity to explore some of the advantages, some of the opportunities that attending the University of Ottawa can offer you. And I'm very happy to have the chance to share some of the opportunities that the University of Ottawa Faculty of Law offered me. First, and in no particular order, I should say that for me, I knew that I wanted to go to law school. For a few years, I had known that I wanted to go to law school, but I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do after law school. I was really committed to public service. And by that, I mean being in service, being of service to the public, as opposed to knowing, was that going to be civil service or not-for-profit or charitable? Was it going to be politics, political affairs? I really didn't know. And this is why I said I wanted everyone to know I was 19. And, you know, we all come to law school at different times, different ages. It's a very diverse class. And so as a very young person, I wasn't completely sure about what was going to come all the way down the road, but I knew that I wanted law school to be a part of it. And the University of Ottawa, even back in the late 90s, was a place that was known for preparing students for non-traditional legal paths. So it did a great job of preparing people for traditional paths, you know, the usual thing, the law firm and the formal practice, but also people who wanted to direct NGOs or direct charitable organizations, people who wanted to work in public policy, people who wanted to work as diplomats, people who might want to do something completely different, be journalists, for instance, but where their legal skills would come in extremely handy. And so for me, being able to study in an environment that was very supportive and understanding that after our studies were over, many of us would take those non-traditional paths was an excellent, excellent start for me. It was exactly what I needed. the space to explore my interest and the support to do so as well. I also wanted to be at the University of Ottawa, and the Dean touched on this, because of the incredibly easy access to public institutions. I was someone who had the good fortune of working as a page in the Senate of Canada during my undergraduate years. And when you have the chance to be that up close and personal to public policy in the making, when you can walk down the avenue and see our Supreme Court, our Parliament, our Senate, and so many other of the important public institutions just right there at your fingertips and right on the doorstep of the University of Ottawa. If you love public policy, if it's something that interests you, then you can't help but be excited about the possibilities. And we had so many of those opportunities to do co-op placements, to do research, to be connected with public officials, to propose our own ideas and allow that to lead us to access. And I took advantage of those, doing research with the Canadian Labour Relations Board, doing a placement at the Supreme Court of Canada. If you enjoy that, then the University of Ottawa is like being a kid in a candy shop, and one of the very best things about being at the faculty. I also came to the University of Ottawa because at the time, it was one of the very, very few faculties that had a true commitment to understanding and exposing its students to Indigenous law, at the time called just Aboriginal law, but to exposing us to it, particularly in our foundational first year, a year in which many of my courses and a number of my professors were teaching us their subject with an Indigenous lens. And this was something, as someone who had had a chance in her undergraduate studies to have my first exposure in my lifetime to Indigenous law, to the history of the Indigenous peoples of these territories that we know as Canada. I wanted to know more. I realized how little I knew, and I wanted to know more. I wanted to be at a law school where I would have the chance to learn more. And it to me said a lot about the Faculty of Law, that it was one that really sought to acknowledge other legal systems as equal, as meaningful, and as worthy of study. So that was the bonuses just keep adding up. I don't know, I could go on for quite a while, and they gave me a generous amount of time, and so I will keep going with the bonuses. There were really a lot for me. I also, after leaving the university, it was an ongoing relationship. I definitely have benefited over the years from the network and the friendships that I established at the law school. That's something that is one of the best things that you take away after your studies are over. And the studies really are only for a very short time, even though in the first year in particular, it can seem like a lifetime. Also, the ongoing relationship with the law school. It was important to me to keep involved with the law school, but the law school itself was there in many different ways. It was a place that I was really pleased to be able to contribute to for a number of years afterward. It was a school that continued to be really committed to ensuring that it had a truly diverse and inclusive faculty and student body. And those were things that I was really pleased to be able to help with as well. And after law school, as the dean mentioned, I continued my studies. I went on to enroll for a master's in public and international affairs at Princeton University. This was a very small program. There were about 60 of us admitted per year. I think that the rate of admissions, even back then, was about 5 or 6%. And I can tell you, and many of the students, as you can imagine, came from the Ivy Leagues. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that my time at the University of Ottawa prepared me perfectly for that experience, perfectly. There was no uncertainty. There was no feeling like I was out of my depth. the skills that I had acquired in critical thinking, in writing, in argumentation, in working collaboratively as well, were exactly the things that I needed. I was ready from the very first day. And that really underlines one of the things that you take from the University of Ottawa forever, which is a toolbox of skills which are going to allow you to adapt, to pivot, to perhaps pursue professions and professional career paths that you can't even imagine right now, and frankly may not even exist right now, given how quickly the world is changing, given that there certainly will be opportunities that you will have even by the end of your studies that you haven't even contemplated yet. So being at a law school where you more than anything are prepared to be a creative thinker and a critical thinker and have those skills of adaptation and also some emotional intelligence as well, because that is perhaps one of the most key skills that you need to take away from this experience, is really it's excellent preparation. And I have to say, very reassuring. It's very reassuring to know that come what may, you have a toolbox of skills that is going to see you through. And so that is something that absolutely I took away and I keep dipping into all the time. And maybe just in terms of that, one thought, I think, and I don't know if the dean knows this, but in my case, in winning the leadership contest, I ran against 8 candidates. This was, of course, a national contest. We had contestants from across the country. And of those 8 candidates, 3 of us were graduates of the University of Ottawa Faculty of Law. 3 of us. I think that is an extraordinary tribute to the faculty and to the kind of leaders that it prepares. And so I will just say that I'm hoping that that's a little bit of proof of concept of what I've been telling you about how the University of Ottawa prepares leaders and maybe untraditional or non-traditional types of leadership also, just in that one example. And there's so many more. The number of University of Ottawa graduates and law graduates in particular that I have met since becoming leader, that are working as political advisors, that are working for stakeholder groups, is really quite extraordinary. University of Ottawa Faculty of Law alumni are everywhere doing everything, and much of it in the service of people, both in this country and abroad. And so in terms of what came after law school, again, when you have the very exhaustive introduction, I don't know how much I can add to that, except to say that the University of Ottawa and my experience at the law school lay the foundations for a certain amount of confidence and fearlessness when it came to making choices about my professional life. I felt, again, very, very well equipped to do a lot of different things. And so when, my CV seems quite varied, and it is, because I have been willing and felt able to do many different things without being concerned about my ability to do them and being having the skills to do them. And so I have worked in international affairs, but this was after having founded, being a social entrepreneur and founding a socially innovative not-for-profit organization where I saw a vacuum, where I saw a need. And then after working in international affairs again, doing that yet again and creating yet another socially innovative organization. And then now, most recently, being the leader of the Green Party of Canada. And so all of those things, I think, were the foundation of them, again, given how young I was when I began law school, and it really was my formative education. As I said, I only did 2 years of undergraduate before entering. It was really that understanding that all of these things were possible. That if I needed supports, I could find them both within our network of alumni, and within, as I said, the toolbox that I had created. And so that's perhaps the thread that runs through everything. And the thing that I hope all of you, as you think about your legal studies, will keep in mind, that you, if you choose to accept this offer, that you are setting yourselves up for a set of skills, for a state of mind that will allow you, if you choose to be so, very ambitious and very fearless in the choices that you make, that will allow you to pivot and really truly access your passions, your interests, and the contributions that you want to make. And I had that gift. I was lucky to have that gift, and I've always tried to make the most of it and take advantage to the fullest. And I really hope that you will as well. And so I should tell our moderator, Professor Liu, I'm not keeping track of time, and I have several other thoughts I wanted to share. How am I doing? Do I have 10 minutes?
Sure, you have about 5 minutes, so
okay,
we'd love to hear from you.
Perfect. Okay. So in those last five minutes, maybe just to share a little bit about my work now. And then again, how all roads lead back, excuse me, perhaps in a way, all roads lead back to the University of Ottawa and my experience there. As I said, I felt equipped and able to take on this challenge now, exactly because of all of the different opportunities and experiences and work and studies I have done since leaving the University of Ottawa, and because of the University of Ottawa. It has given me, in particular, in the context of the law, and again, these things come together in ways one might not expect when we're sitting in our homes trying to decide whether to take the plunge or not. It allows me, for instance, has allowed me over the last few weeks, for instance, to have a national platform to talk about areas of criminal justice that I think are in need of significant reform. So, for instance, we know that we are experiencing an epidemic of opioid poisonings leading to death across the country. 2020 was a record year across the country for opioid poisonings and deaths. This is an area where we need to see decriminalization. And because of who I am, because of what I've studied, I'm able to speak about that with a certain amount of conviction, but also authority and credibility. And that is something that, if we are able to affect the change that we need to see in that area, will save lives and will have an important impact on public health and public policy. I also called as far back as the leadership race for a dismantling of systemic racism within our criminal justice system. We know that Black people and Indigenous peoples in particular are tremendously disproportionately negatively impacted by the systemic discrimination within our criminal justice system. And there were two things in particular over the last little while I've been able to champion as the leader of a national party. One is the need, and again, this sounds dull to most people, but you're about to become law students, and so I'm going to assume you're all as nerdy and wonky as me. But one is the need for increased disaggregated data. We simply do not have enough disaggregated data within our criminal justice system that allows us to track things like police use of force, the incarceration rates of various equity-seeking groups, Black people in particular, because Black people are apart from the other racialized groups when it comes to the criminal justice system. And so that's something that I've been able to push and petition for and speak about in the national news. And then also mandatory minimum sentences, which we also know tremendously disproportionately impact Indigenous peoples and Black people who represent the overwhelming majority of those who receive those sentences and then have to serve out the majority of those sentences. And so having that, did I imagine that I would be here today and be able to speak about those things and have a national platform to do it? I didn't, but it's been an extraordinary thing for me. And again, the way in which my education at the Faculty of Law keeps on giving. And so as you're trying to make your decision about where to begin your journey, and if you should put your hat down or set your foot down on the path at the University of Ottawa, I just want you to know that for me, it was a game changer. It was a life changer. It was exactly what I needed at exactly the right time. It was a supportive environment. It was the place where I met my life partner, who celebrated his birthday yesterday, and who we've been together for almost 30 years. And he also graduated from the University of Ottawa Faculty of Law. He met his co-writer and also one of the partners in the publishing firm that published his first book on human rights law in Canada, which I believe is still being used in the Faculty of Law. It gave him the confidence to go on and continue his studies, and he completed his master's in law at Columbia University, and also was incredibly well equipped. He actually had struggled a bit at the University of Ottawa in terms of his grades, and yet was so well prepared by the rigor of his studies that he went on to Columbia Law School and was a straight A student and a scholar, graduating as one of their top scholars. So I can assure you that the education and the rigor of the education you receive prepares you for whatever you want to do next. So it has been a very important part of my life, and personally, professionally, and I know that it will be for you too. I want to encourage you to be ambitious for yourself, to be ambitious for your studies. I recognize that it is a big commitment going to law school now. It is very expensive. It wasn't when I went. I paid for myself, I had to, but I was able to support myself through jobs in the faculty and in Ottawa. And I know that that is no longer possible. And so I know you have additional pressures to be safe and choose the safe route. All I can say is that to the extent that you are able, being ambitious for yourself and your future, using this opportunity to really think about all of the different ways that your legal education can serve you and can serve those around you. This is the moment to do it. And as you begin your legal studies, think not only about yourself, but about the other people that are starting this journey with you, because the more you support each other, the more you will get out of this experience. And I hope you will know that people like me who have been down this road already, that we are here to support you. It's very meaningful to me to consider myself a mentor to students at the University of Ottawa. And I think you'll find that our alumni network is very open and available to you when you need us and in the ways that you need us. So that's my pitch for the law school. I hope that it persuades. We should do a flash poll, Dean, just to see, right, how many students. But yes, for those of you who take the decision for the University of Ottawa, you won't ever regret it. It will be something that you will take with you forever, and it has been for me. Thanks for spending some time with me this morning. Feel free to reach out. I am an alumni, and even in this role, I will always find time to speak to University of Ottawa law students. So thank you very much, and I will pass it over to Professor Liu.